guys, to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today I took out the Instant Pot again because I'm going to be teaching you how to make chicken Youvetsi, which is basically a chicken stew that then you add Orzo to, you cook it all together. First you make the chicken stew in the Instant Pot or a pressure cooker, whatever you have, and then I like to finish it off in the oven, even though I will give you instructions on the blog post on how to finish it off in the Instant Pot, but it does taste way better in the oven, so if you have time, make sure you use that method. I did share the beef version of this recipe, and if you haven't watched it already, I'll link it down below or in the end in the card section, so you could click on that and watch it. It's almost the same thing. Today I'm using chicken thighs, boneless, and not boneless, I'm using bone-in, but I took the skin off the chicken thighs. I have 6 over here. You can use 6 or 7. You don't have to use chicken thighs. You can use a whole chicken that's been cut into portions for this, or even drumsticks, whatever your favorite cut is. I don't recommend breast because breast does tend to get a little bit dry, and it does cook long enough where it is going to be dry if you use that. But if you have a whole chicken and you have a little bit of breast in there, a little bit of dark meat, it's going to be perfect. Let's get started. So I started off by finely chopping a large onion, and then I put it in the Instant Pot with a little bit of olive oil, about 4 tablespoons or so, and a little pinch of salt. Then I hit the saute button and let the onions cook or saute for about 15 minutes or until they were nice and soft and golden. You want to go in and stir them every now and then because sometimes the heat does get high in this machine and you don't want anything to burn. Okay, so once the onions are cooked, you're going to go ahead and add the garlic. I like to puree my garlic in a food processor, and then I put it in a Ziploc bag, a freezer bag, in a thin layer, and then just break off pieces as I need them. Otherwise, you can grate 4 or 5 garlic cloves and just put them in here. Just warm the garlic through because when it's grated, it burns quickly. Next, I'm just going to add the pieces of chicken into the Instant Pot. If you want more flavor, if you like to brown chicken and you have the time, you can put these in the baking pan that you're going to bake the chicken in if it's broiler safe, like a stainless steel pan is best, or a metal pan. And then brush them with a little bit of olive oil, season with salt and pepper on both sides, and run them under the broiler until they're nice and golden for about 4 minutes or so on each side. I just don't like to do that. If I'm doing an Instant Pot recipe, that means I'm short on time. I want to get this recipe done as soon as possible with as few steps as possible. So that's why I don't really worry about browning the chicken. There's still going to be plenty of flavor in this. Then we're going to season this with some salt and pepper. Season to suit your taste, you guys. A little bit, I'm going to get the black pepper in a second. Some crushed red pepper flakes because we like it a little spicy. Just a little bit. Crushed red pepper flakes really don't add that much heat, but they add just the right amount. A little bit of black pepper. A bay leaf. Then I have a can of tomatoes that I've just pureed. This is 15 ounces. And then I'm going to add a cup of chicken stock, chicken broth. You could even use water, whatever your heart desires. Then you're going to put the lid on the pressure cooker and make sure you secure it, and you set it to the setting where the venting is turned off, and then you pressure cook it on high pressure for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is just the right amount of time. It sounds like it's not a lot, but the chicken is going to be tender and almost falling off the bone. Then you're going to let it sit for about 10 minutes so it can slowly, naturally release the pressure. And then after 10-15 minutes, you can release whatever pressure is left by moving the little venting button on top. Open it, taste the salt. Then we're going to move on to the next step. Taste the salt, I meant the seasoning. If it needs more salt or pepper, you can add it at that time. Then we're going to move on to the next step. And just like that, the stew is ready. I'm just going to carefully pour it into this big baking pan. Now, traditionally, a stick of cinnamon and a couple of cloves are also put into the pot while it's cooking. Those are very traditional flavors, but my kids don't really like that taste, so I didn't put it in there. If you like cinnamon and the warm flavors of clove, you can go ahead and put them in there when you put the chicken and the tomato sauce and all that stuff. The chicken is nice and soft. As you can see, the sauce is amazing. It's perfect. I could have actually fit 2 more pieces of chicken in there. So if you have the big pressure cooker like I do, I'll put the model that I have in the links down below underneath the video. then you can put probably two to three more pieces of chicken. There will be room in there. Now I'm gonna add 1 pound of orzo. Orzo pasta is what I use. This is traditional in Youvetsi. If you prefer rice to keep it gluten-free, you can go ahead and add rice to it. I'm also going to season with a teaspoon of salt, even though there is enough salt for the chicken in the stew. But since we're adding pasta, it needs a little bit more salt. If you don't like that much salt in your food, leave it out. I'm also gonna add a teaspoon of dried oregano and about 4 cups of chicken broth. You can use water instead if you prefer, but the chicken broth has so much flavor. You could use 4 to even maybe 5 cups. I like for there to be more liquid. The orzo really soaks it up once it starts to cook, and I like for when it comes out of the oven for it to have a little bit of a sauce. You can take the bay leaf out if you catch it while you're mixing. It has already released its flavor. We don't need it anymore. My oven is preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. This is gonna go in and bake uncovered on the center rack for 20 minutes. Then I'm gonna take it out, garnish it with some fresh parsley, get the feta cheese ready, and it's gonna be ready to serve. All right, the Youvetsi is ready. It's cooled down a little bit. As soon as it comes out of the oven, you're gonna see that there's lots of liquid and sauce left over, and after about 20 minutes, the orzo pretty much soaks it up. So don't be afraid to add even up to 5 or 6 cups of liquid once you put it in the oven. Your orzo will not, it won't wash it down, and it won't take away the flavor, and it won't make it too soupy. It's actually gonna hardly have any sauce by the end of it. But keep in mind, also pay attention to the size of the pan that you're using. You don't wanna put too much and then it overflows in your oven and makes a mess. Sprinkle some parsley on top, finely chopped parsley once it comes out. Put it in a plate and serve it with some crumbled feta cheese. You can do Parmesan cheese, whatever your favorite topping is, go ahead and put it on there. Serve it with a nice salad, some toasted bread, and dinner will be served. I think this is all done in like an hour. You really can't beat it. And so easy. Time to take a bite. Comfort food. Delicious, simple, easy, melts in your mouth. The chicken is nice and soft, so much flavor. This is one dish that kids and adults both love. So you really can't beat it when you make everyone in the family happy. If you want to print the recipe out, it's on the website, dimitrasdishes.com, all the exact measurements, step by step, how to do everything. If you want to finish the orzo off in the pot, I'll put the instructions in the recipe, but basically, I'll just put it in the recipe. I don't want to confuse you. I'll just put it on the website. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. If you make the dishes, make sure to share the pictures with me on Facebook and Instagram. I really love seeing your recreations. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes,